Hey everyone, welcome back to I Miss My Cheeseburger. Today we're actually going to be making some vegan scones. I'm super excited. I have my most favorite recipe here. Now you can find tons of recipes for vegan scones online, but I wanted to see if I could take my favorite recipe and make it vegan and see how they turn out. This is actually from Fortnum and Mason, which is in London. They have the Diamond Jubilee tea salon there, and it's actually where the Queen takes her tea occasionally. More often than not, she's at the palace, but you know. So my family and I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to have afternoon tea there, and their scones were so amazing. We talked about them forever. So I found the recipe and I've been making them, and I thought I would just try and see if I could make them vegan and see how they turn out. Now this recipe doesn't call for any eggs, but it does call for whole milk and butter. So I have a pretty decent butter substitute. So the thing that I'm a little iffy on is that your non-dairy milk typically doesn't have as much fat as your regular milk, and so that can kind of mess up your recipes. So we're going to try soy milk today. Of all of the non-dairies, soy milk seems to have the most fat from any of them, and so we're going to give that a try and see how it goes. Now I've already measured out some of my ingredients here, but we need to start with 400 grams of flour. Now, because this recipe is from England and everything is in the metric system, which is why I'm using my scale here, and we're at, woo, there's 400 right there. All right. Now, I know most people do this by hand. I actually tank when it comes to incorporating butter into this, so I'm just gonna dump this in here. Now, I've been keeping this in the refrigerator. This is what I'm using. It's the Earth Balance. This actually, we like the taste better than actual butter. The bummer thing about this is it turns to room temperature really fast, so you have to keep it in the refrigerator when you're doing this. All right. And I'm just gonna turn this on low. And give it a minute or two, see how it does. So this is 20 grams of baking soda and a little bit of salt, and I'm just gonna add that in here so that it all gets mixed in. Now to this, we're gonna add 80 grams of sugar, and then we're gonna add 175 milliliters of whole milk. And I've already pre-measured these things using the kitchen scale. I usually do this on 2, and it works great. I have really small hands and they're always cold, and so whenever I try to incorporate it on my own, I never can get it the way I want it. Nice and crumbly. And so while that's mixing, I'm just gonna add my 80 grams of sugar and let that have a little mix. And then this is 175 milliliters of whole milk, but this is actually vegan. I'm using just silk milk. All right, so this looks pretty good. It looks like it normally does, so that's definitely a plus. And now the directions say to let this set for about 30 minutes. So I'm gonna put some cling wrap over this, just like the recipe calls for, and we'll let this have a sit for 30 minutes. Okay, so while the scone mix is setting aside for 30 minutes, we're gonna make my very favorite thing to have on scones, and that is lemon curd. So if you haven't had lemon curd before, you're so missing out. It is just amazing. Sweet, tart, it's just perfect. So we're gonna try to make this vegan. Typically, lemon curd is made with butter and egg yolk. So we're gonna be trying some different things here. So I looked online and found a recipe that the picture looked really great and it had really great reviews. So we'll give it a try and see. I do like a little tiny bit of lemon zest. Some people like a lot. I just like a little bit. I don't like a ton of lemon zest in my lemon curd. So, all right, so we're just gonna give these a little zest. And you wanna be really careful not to get the pith in there. That's the white stuff. That does not taste very good. All right, that looks pretty fabulous. And then I'm just gonna cut these up a little bit, and we're gonna put the juice. We need a half a cup of lemon juice. So we'll just pop these in here and squeeze out a half a cup. See how many lemons it takes. I was really hoping to find Meyer lemons. I don't know if you've had those before, but they are the best. It's a cross between a tangerine and a lemon, and they have the most amazing flavor. But couldn't find them anywhere, so here we are with just some regular lemons. All right, so this is the last piece. That's gonna give us the half a cup that we need. And we'll take this over and head to the stove and cook this up and see how it turns out. And in the pot, I have already added a half a cup of white sugar and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And the directions say just to give that a little bit of a whisk, and that's just to make sure that the cornstarch gets incorporated in there so we don't end up with any lumps. That I'm gonna add my lemon juice, and I'm gonna add half a cup of soy milk. All right, so I'm gonna add just a pinch of turmeric. I put it in my hand to make sure that I don't get too much. Lemon curd is typically a really bright yellow color from the egg yolks, and obviously we don't have egg yolks in here, and I just didn't want it to be white looking. So we're gonna heat this over medium heat, and we need to just constantly be stirring this, and then it's gonna thicken as it heats up. All right, so the directions are telling us that it's gonna take about 5 minutes for this to start to thicken up. And it's ever so slightly starting to thicken just a little bit. Turn the heat down just a little bit. Oh, that looks great. That looks so pretty. Oh, and it smells amazing. You just have this really bright lemon smell, and it just smells fantastic. Oh, I can't wait to try this. All right, I'm gonna turn the heat off, and I'm just gonna continue to whisk this for just a little bit longer. Now, normally I would make this a day ahead so that it could be in the refrigerator. But since we're making this today and we're eating our scones today, I'm gonna put this in a bowl, and then I'm just gonna pop it in the freezer while we finish up our scones. Wow, that looks beautiful. Now this is gonna continue to thicken. You can see that a little bit right there. That looks fabulous. So let's get that popped in the freezer, and then we'll get back to our scones. Okay, so the lemon curd is in the freezer cooling. Our scone mix has been sitting for 30 minutes. The oven is heated up to 350 degrees, and so we are ready to roll these out and cut them out. So I like to use the second to the smallest one of these. These are my favorite little cutters. I actually bought them on the same trip that we were on when we had afternoon tea in London, and so they're my favorite, so I use those all the time. So here's our dough that's been sitting, and we want to roll these out about a ½ inch thick, maybe just a little bit thicker than that. We like big fluffy scones at our house, so I usually don't roll them out too thin. That looks fairly even. And then we're just gonna cut these out. We'll pop them on the baking sheet, which has a little bit of parchment. Now these don't spread out a whole lot, and so you can pack them fairly close. You don't want them touching, but you can pack them in there fairly close. They're gonna raise, but they're not gonna spread out. All right, so there's our last one, and we're gonna pop these in the oven now. The oven is set to 350 degrees, and we're gonna bake these for about 12 to 15 minutes. I find sometimes that it takes even closer to 20. So let's get them in the oven. Okay, moment of truth. Scones are out of the oven. Lemon curd, I pulled it out of the freezer and gave it a little stir. And I have to say, I'm a little disappointed in the scones. You can see that they're not very thick. They're normally at least 3 times this size, if not more. And it's not because of the mixer that I used, because I used that before and get really big fluffy ones. So, and of course they're not as brown on top because I didn't do the egg wash, but we'll see how they taste. So I wanted to show you this. This looks so amazing. I honestly cannot wait to try this. It's thick like lemon curd is. It smells amazing. It has that really bright, citrusy lemon smell before I even put it on a scone. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Okay, honestly, wow, that is better than the regular version that I make with the egg yolk. This is really, really good. I will put the recipe in the link down below. I actually found this on a blog called It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken, And so I'll put a link to that down there so that you can have this as well. And I'm gonna keep tweaking on my scones because I have to have a really good scone. Otherwise it's just not the same. Oh my gosh, can you hear the dog whining at me? He smells the, he smells the scones. Okay, here we go. Mmm, such bright lemon flavor. I really love lemon curd. Mmm, so good. It makes this kind of so-so scone taste amazing. The only thing that's missing is you. We could be sitting here having a cup of tea and our super yummy scones. I hope that you enjoyed today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you get notifications every time I put out a video. And next week, I have a special recipe with a special guest. So you're definitely gonna wanna tune in and you're not gonna wanna miss that. And I'm just gonna have some more of this all by itself. Okay, I'm gonna let you go because you need to go make some of this now. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye. We're gonna make some lemon curd. It is the best thing to... Dog. Taffy, wait, you can't play while I'm talking, you silly goose. Okay, go on. We're just gonna zest these oranges. Okay. I can't stop eating this.